For Alaska Real Estate Podcast, I'm Chris Story. Did you hear the one about the two little boys that met at summer camp? Well, Tommy says to Billy, "What's your dad do?" "Well, my dad's a home builder. What's your dad do?" Tommy thinks about it and says, "Well, he's a lawyer." Billy said, "Honest?" "No, the regular kind." Tip your waitress, folks. I'll be here all week. Stand by for your mid-year President's Report with Joni Schneider and April Frick's in the house. She's got some thoughts on the Alaska Real Estate Magazine, right here on Alaska Real Estate Podcast. Made possible in part due to the fine folks at Alaska Housing Finance Corporation, your partner in real estate and recently out on a listening tour. While AHFC is changing with the times, one thing remains the same: a mission to provide safe, efficient, and affordable housing to all Alaskans. Alaska Real Estate is also sponsored by Alaska USA Title Agency. With offices all over Alaska, AKUSA Title understands closing dates and the importance of meeting those dates. Your clients will love working with Alaska USA Title Agency, and so will you. Online at alaskausatitle.com. Please welcome your president, Joni Schneider.
Well, in Alaska, it's like we're working so hard to get that President's Cup. And I don't know if you're aware of what that is, but that's an RPAC. It's a big honor statewide, and I think we were like one of 5 who are like almost so close to getting it. And to get it, we had to have 43 major donors, which is investors, I should say.
Okay.
And that, that's people that give $1,000, and so we've made that, and we've gotten everything else completed. The only thing, from what I could understand, that could hold us up is if we get a call to action, and we don't get enough participation.
Have there been any calls to action so far? Okay.
No, and this will be all before our November when we're in Orlando. So we just, it'd be sad if we miss it because a few people didn't go click and hit,
Right. I see. So it's a couple of components. One is participation in the major investor, and then also participation in the calls to action. Interesting.
For involvement, you had to have so many people in the VIP, and we had to have so many people that have given $2,500 that, they're in the President's Circle.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's like we've really strived hard, and this will be the first year that if we get it, and I'm so convinced we're going to get it.
All right. Well, that's fantastic. Anything else on the legislative side or your personal agenda for the board that's happening?
Next week sometime we're doing the conference call to decide what are going to be our questions for our legislators.
Okay.
Then that's what first, I guess I call it the candidate interview. But we, as the RPAC trustees, get together and formulate what questions we're going to pose to anybody we interview, and of course they're going to be sort of slanted towards what's good for the real estate industry, and of course that's all homeowners, and we're still working hard to make sure that we can keep that mortgage interest deduction, and there's all those same things that are always hovering out there, and it just seems like we always get really great support, like you had asked what we did when we were in D.C. Well, we had the rally, and that was, just I still can just get goosebumps thinking about how wonderful that was to see that many people, fighting for what's right for the homeowner.
Well, talk about that a little bit. Did you have any preconceived notions of what that rally would look like, or when you got there it was just like Woodstock for realtors?
It was like Woodstock, but we're all wearing our blue shirts with the white R on the front and back. So coming in, you knew they were us.
Really cool photos. And for anyone who hasn't seen them, go to the AAR site, and you can see all kinds of photos. Very cool.
And I got to be on stage, and so I could see the whole overview. When you're standing in the crowd, it's not quite as whatever. And then and you can go to the Realtor website, and there's one of those, panorama cams that, it's like it picks up everybody, and you can find yourself in it.
Cool. Very neat. And what do you think the net result of that? Do you think it sent a message to our delegation there in D.C.?
If it doesn't, I don't know what they'd need.
Right.
Well, it's an election year, and I know they all have their own agendas, but it's like we were so well received by our own people, by Young and Begich and Murkowski. We had wonderful interviews with them, and it's like I think the more we come down there or to Juneau, the more visible and viable we seem to be. It's like they take notice. It isn't like, well, what do they want? It's like they know we're the champions for, well, now we're advocating more than, just actually supporting people, because a lot of that same money that we send down comes back and we can use it locally. And that's pretty awesome. I mean, it's a great feeling. I said it was a great feeling to be a realtor and an American that day. It's just like, wow, it was awesome.
Yeah, looking back on those photographs and then hearing some of the audio that April Frick was able to capture for us and put out on that last podcast, it was pretty neat. I'll tell you, it made me really want to be there. I'll tell you that much. It was.
I mean, it was like I said, if ever there was a year to be president, I'm glad mine was this year, because I think we're going to accomplish great things.
Well, that is just terrific. Any message you'd like to share with the membership right now, something that you feel is important or paramount at this moment in time to share?
Yeah, I just would encourage anybody and everybody to try and attend the convention in Girdwood, and I know Diette's going to be speaking about that. It's like when you get to kind of reconnect with, your family, your realtor family. And it's like, I think every time you go, it's just like, it's because we are such a state where, you can't just get there from here type thing, that's the one time that you really do get to see a lot of people and spend quality time with them and learn a lot about our industry. And it's always worthwhile. I've never seen it not to be.
Yeah, I would concur with that 100%. What about Sandy Ehrenman? You keeping her in line?
She's a hard one, too. And it's like, if it weren't for Sandy, I don't know where we'd be. Some of the other people, they have the GADs, they have people that do their publishing. She does it all.
Yeah.
Absolutely does it all.
No, she's definitely the backbone of the organization, huh?
Absolutely.
So you're halfway through. Is this what you expected, being president of this massive organization? Is it any surprises so far?
Not really any surprises. I'm surprised it's going this fast. And, of course, now we're kind of in that slow-down period until Girdwood.
Right.
We have our own fundraising drives for our pack and things like that. But and we'll have that coming up in September. And actually, then we go in November. We go to Orlando, and then that's kind of the finale. And then, of course, usually I still as president go around and install some of the boards. So that'll be good.
All right, Joni Schneider, thank you so much for your service to our board, and go out there and sell some stuff.
I'm selling Alaska.
Thank you, Joni. The President's Podcast brought to you by Alaska USA Mortgage Company, a name you know and people you trust. Remember that when rural development has more fiscal year at the end of the money, your friends at Alaska USA Mortgage Company continue to close rural development loans. Now that's over-the-top service. Online at AlaskaUSAMortgage.com. Here's April Frick with her thoughts on the latest Alaska Association of Realtor magazine.
I'm such a reader, and I can be a print reader, but not as frequently as I was, for sure. These days I'm definitely more of an electronic format person. So the Realtor magazine comes in the mail, and I don't always necessarily read the whole thing, but whenever I, can grab a minute and sit down, and it's a really good resource. It's full of wonderful information. So I was thumbing through the last edition, and I would encourage everybody to read it thoroughly, but I think it's worth hitting some highlights. As I was thumbing through the last edition, several things caught my eye. One was we had a whole bunch of convention information about our upcoming state convention. I think it's a good way to look at what's going on and what classes are going to be offered and the schedule, and get excited about it. And, to kind of just generally updates on all these things that are being done. And I think it's really easy to lose touch with the fact that we have a very active organization until you sit down and actually read through it. Peggy Ann McConaughey also does. I think she does an article in every single magazine. And she had a great one in this time that ran through all the highlights of the mid-year convention. So in her article, she talked about the Realtor Rally, that we had close to 14,000 people in attendance, and, the purpose of it, and how big and how humbling and how important it was. She talked about the mid-year issues we'd been addressing, the mortgage interest deduction, all of those things. So Peggy's article is a total highlight for me. And then another one that I always like is the info bites from around the state. We've got board presidents from each edition. We've got board presidents from several of our different areas giving updates on what's going on with them locally. And as a matter of fact, Sandy had even, more than she could publish this time. So it's just chock full of good, solid, in-depth information. Super slick, cool publication. One absolutely worth picking up and going all the way through when it shows up in the mail.
Thanks, April, and thank you for listening to this podcast. Tell a friend to plug in, listen, and learn. That's it for this edition of Alaska Real Estate. Sandy Erdman's your executive producer. For all of us at Alaska Real Estate, I'm Chris Story, wishing you health, wealth, and prosperity.